Your ApoB is one of the most important factors determining your risk of heart disease, and you can lower your ApoB fast in a matter of weeks if you know what to do. So today we're going over the best foods demonstrated scientifically to help you lower your ApoB. And at the end of the video, I want to share a workout and a supplement that will help you slam that ApoB even faster. The ApoB test measures the number of particles in your blood that can get into the artery wall and cause plaque. It's a better test than the regular LDL that most people get in a basic lipid panel, the LDL cholesterol measure, and it's a better predictor of your risk of heart disease. And according to large genetic studies, high ApoB doesn't just raise risk of heart disease, it also shortens lifespan, and it may even raise your risk of diabetes. So lowering your ApoB is one of the best health investments you could possibly make. So the first tool in our arsenal are phytosterols. Phytosterols inhibit the absorption of cholesterol in the intestine. And the result is that the liver is going to try to get cholesterol from another source, specifically ApoB particles in circulation. So it's going to pull those from the blood and the level comes down. A meta-analysis of randomized control trials showed that adding phytosterols to a diet can lower ApoB significantly as quickly as 3 weeks. The lowest amount I've seen work is half a gram, 0.5 grams of phytosterols daily, although most trials are looking at about 2 grams a day phytosterols to get this result. Sources of phytosterols include tree nuts like pistachios or almonds. Most seeds are good sources of phytosterols as well, so sesame seeds are one of the highest. Wheat germ is another good source. Some vegetable oils, with rice bran oil being the most concentrated source of phytosterols in foods. Soybean and other legumes like lentils and beans also contain some, and unprocessed whole grains like brown rice or wild rice. Now, for people with a specific condition called cytosterolemia, you need to be careful with phytosterols because you don't process them normally. Fortunately, this is rare. Okay, what's a good ApoB that you want to shoot for? We have a whole video on that, but basically, if you have low risk of heart disease, you want your ApoB under 90 milligrams per deciliter. For people at high risk, we recommend under 70, and for people at very high risk, under 60. Now, another factor that plays a role is the type of protein. One randomized trial gave participants a protein shake made from protein powder, either from casein or black-eyed peas. The casein shake lowered ApoB by 2%, while the legume shake lowered it by 14%. So legumes might affect ApoB both through their content of phytosterols and the type of protein they contain. Another important factor is fat type. In fact, this is probably the number one factor to affect your ApoB. Healthy fats like nuts or seeds cause your liver to pull more ApoB particles from the blood, and so the ApoB level comes down. Other examples of healthy fats that also have a similar effect include fatty fish like salmon or sardines, seaweed, extra virgin olive oils, avocados, and flax seeds. Okay, another tool to help you lower ApoB is fiber, but not just any fiber. Viscous fiber is particularly powerful. Viscous fiber is the type of fiber that feeds your microbiome, your gut bugs. They chomp up that viscous fiber and they transform it into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate or propionate or acetate. And those can then be absorbed by our intestine and they can have a profound metabolic impact, including optimizing lipids and lipoproteins. Good sources of viscous fiber include some fruits like apples or berries, citrus fruits, so oranges, tangerines, grapefruit. Some vegetables like okra or eggplants are some of the highest in viscous fiber. Oats and barley and psyllium husk, which is a concentrated form of fiber, is another good option. Okay, we want to integrate all of these great foods into our diet. We want to feature them, but we also want to avoid the worst foods when it comes to ApoB. And one of the worst offenders is purified, refined fructose, as found, for example, in artificial sugary drinks like soda. Consuming pure, refined fructose in large amounts, like drinking a lot of soda, can cause your liver to become insulin resistant. And the result is it produces more of these ApoB particles and pumps them into circulation, and so the level goes up and the risk of heart disease goes up. We also want to be cautious with large amounts of solid fats. So things like coconut oil, palm oil, butter, lard, tallow, very fatty cuts of meat. These foods powerfully raise your ApoB. So favoring some of the sources of fat we talked about earlier, like replacing some of the fatty meats with fatty fish, for example, and favoring some lean meats like poultry, for example, replacing some of the coconut or palm oil or butter with olive oil or avocados can powerfully lower your ApoB in a matter of weeks. Now, how big of a drop in ApoB you're going to see depends on a couple things. How high is your ApoB in the first place? And genetics, as always, right? But it's pretty common for people to see 20%, sometimes 30%, sometimes more of a drop in ApoB just with these dietary swaps. Now, there's many ways to put together all these different building blocks depending on dietary preference. The most validated dietary pattern in research is what we call the traditional Mediterranean diet. That doesn't mean whatever people are eating nowadays in the Mediterranean region, but it's a diet that features some fatty fish and seafood, olive oil as the main added fat, and abundant sources of fiber like vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains. But there are other options as well, like DASH, vegetarian, the Nordic diet, or a paleo diet. All of those can be put together in a way that integrates all of these principles we talked about. Okay, another really important factor is body fat. So maintaining ideal body weight or maintaining low body fat. Randomized trials where overweight participants lose a significant amount of body weight consistently show reductions in ApoB of up to 20%. Losing body fat both reduces the amount of ApoB particles that get produced and increases the clearance, the removal of particles from circulation. So it's a double threat. It's really powerful. Now, exercise has also been shown to help reduce ApoB. In a randomized control trial out of Norway, participants practiced aerobic exercise like fast walking, jogging, or circuit training 3 days a week, with each session lasting about an hour. And exercise lowered ApoB even after they accounted for body size, like waist circumference, right? So exercise helps you reduce ApoB because it helps you lose some weight, but there's also an additional independent effect. Another fascinating aspect of this trial was that their LDL, the basic lipid panel measure, LDL cholesterol, did not go down significantly with exercise, but ApoB did. So if you were just going by your LDL, as many people do, you might get discouraged. I'm busting my buns doing all this exercise and my LDL isn't budging, but your ApoB is, and that's a much more reliable metric of heart disease risk. Now, in this trial, they only did cardio, but it's recommended that you also try to get in some resistance training. So body weight exercises or lifting some weights at least a couple of times a week. That helps maintain muscle mass, which is really important metabolically. And finally, let's talk about a supplement. Omega-3 supplements have been shown to reduce ApoB. Omega-3s mainly work by reducing the production of very large ApoB particles, what we call VLDLs. Now, one issue with omega-3 supplements is that at very high dose, like several grams a day, they raise risk of arrhythmias, like atrial fibrillation. So it's better to stay at lower doses if you can. One randomized trial saw a 20% reduction in ApoB with 1.2 grams a day of omega-3s. So you may not need very high doses. I would start low, around 1 gram a day or even less, and see if that gives you that nudge you want. And one last supplement, berberine, also has some interesting, very promising evidence behind it. 500 milligrams a day, taken twice, so 1 gram total, has been shown to lower ApoB by 10 to 15%. At the end of the day, we worry about ApoB because it increases plaque in our arteries. If you already have plaque, we have a video covering the best diet tricks to reduce plaque size. So I'll link that right here. Check it out, and I'll see you in there.